My project was over the government controversy of equal rights for African Americans and how the media affected it. This will be based on the book Great Ambitions, Milestones in Black American History, 1896 to 1909 by Pierre Hauser. That will be my focus period. It began after the Civil War ended in 1865. Blacks were attempting to gain more rights and were halted in many aspects. October 31st, 1874. This cartoon was titled, "Everything Points to a Democratic Victory This Fall." The White League was not letting black men vote, and this image shows the black men submitting to that. Blown up, you can see the notice that is put on the door saying it was ordered by the White League. Then in 1878, segregation in schools and later transportation became commonplace. 1881, Tennessee instituted railroad segregation. 1880s and 1890s, the rate of lynching reached its peak, and although they said it was a punishment, it was normally just used to terrorize blacks into submission. And by 1891, all but 3 southern states passed laws about railroad segregation. July 1890, Louis Martinet and Rudolph Desdunes had enough. Martinet, a black lawyer and newspaperman, said, "The next thing is to test the constitutionality of this law." Together, they gathered funds, and with 16 other black men, they made the Citizens Committee to test the constitutionality of the separate car law. October 10th, 1891, they hired Albion W. Tourgy, a radical Republican from the North who wanted to make life better for freed slaves. Tourgy then hired light-skinned black man Homer Adolph Plessy to break the law. June 7th, 1892, Plessy purchased a first-class ticket and was arrested for sitting in the first class. When they took it to court, Judge John H. Ferguson rejected Tourgy's reasonings that Plessy had a reputation as being a white man in order to gain wealth and property, and declared Plessy guilty. Louisiana High Chief Francis Nichols signed the segregation law as governor in 1890 and stood with Ferguson's decision. Tourgy and Plessy later took it to the Supreme Court and stood with the following reasonings. The 13th Amendment states, "Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, completely subject to someone more powerful, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States." Tourgy provided that segregation created a new form of bondage for blacks. The 14th Amendment states, "No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States." Tourgy provided that segregation reduced blacks to a subordinate position. They lost in a 7-1 vote in the Supreme Court. Justice Henry Billings Brown of Michigan wrote the majority opinion. It stated that segregation did not necessarily imply the inferiority of either race, and if segregation stamped blacks with a badge of inferiority, it is solely because the colored race chooses to put that construction on it. Overall, it's a federal issue because the executive branch is refusing to properly use the laws made by the legislature. May 19, 1896, Roanoke Daily Times of Virginia produced this piece announcing the decision of the Supreme Court on Plessy v. Ferguson. It was respectful and did not play into either side. May 23, 1896, the Weekly Messenger of St. Martinville, Louisiana, also published a piece on Plessy v. Ferguson. Their piece, however, was very racial, stating, "Much discomfort and irritation will be saved to white people as they travel in Louisiana." We started to see changes after the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP, was created in 1909. They took legal action and had the support of many whites, which allowed them to accomplish more than other groups had. Overall, the media spread news of racist acts. It left blacks in fear and whites in power at the time. It led to herd mentality of the racist whites and justification for their actions because other people were doing it too. Almost a century later, in Dubuque of 1991, idolization of these racists and most likely others of the time led to cross burnings and FBI investigations of racist acts. November 19, 1991, Greg Smith from AP News wrote from July 3rd to November 19th, there were 10 reported cross burnings at schools, parks, and residences, and there were 4 within the week. However, the media was also how many individuals shared their stories and exposed situations like Ida B. Wells. She majoritarily wrote about lynchings and uncovered that a third were caused by white women accusing black men of rape. Many were forming relationships and were pressured by white peers to accuse them of such. In conclusion, I think the media prolonged white supremacy, but also allowed blacks with an outlet and a possibility to group together.